Hello. There have probably been times in your life when you had to pay for your own mistakes. But their price will seem insignificant to you after you see the most expensive fails of the heroes of our new selection. Go. Here he is. Oh. It takes some time for the train to come to a complete stop, and this driver probably prayed that this would happen as soon as possible. However, when the locomotive finally braked, the cost of the losses was already about $2 million. That's a mistake. The police parked the car in such a way that they gave the truck no choice. This incident cost them not only money, but also their reputation. The guys arrived after an accident on the track to evacuate the racing Ferrari, but accidentally added even more damage. The challenge was to demolish the old storage facility without touching the white building. The loudest operator silence in history. A sunken ship is already a fairly large financial loss. But if there was valuable cargo inside, the losses take on unimaginable proportions. For example, this ship carried more than 4,000 cars and sank off the coast of Georgia. It was not possible to get the whole ship, so it had to be divided into sections, which were taken out from the bottom separately. It's scary to even think how much money the transport company ultimately lost. The company was transporting huge concrete beams. As you can see, 50% of the transportation was successful, but then I wonder what they said when they came back and asked for another beam. These guys are used to working in risky environments. The truck driver considered himself a driving ace right up until that moment. A rocket launch in Japan turned into an epic failure. However, the engineer explained that it was a self-destruction trigger due to the detection of problems, although from a distance it still looks creepy. They placed too much responsibility on the excavator. I don't know what he's doing with AKV. I don't know what he's doing with AKV. Parking so close to the chimney removal site was obviously the most unwise decision possible. The last thing you want to see when returning home from work. He spent 6 minutes trying to moor the yacht, and this is the result. I am sure that the owner of the other vessel will vote to deprive the reckless driver of his license. No, not at all. The first one sinks, and the sixth one sinks before our eyes. This is what happens if you ignore the warning from the Ministry of Emergency Situations and drive onto thin ice. Obliquely, whatever you like, well, at least they came out and looked. That's all. Here he is. Oh, and this, by the way, is only part of the problem. That day, as many as 15 cars sank to the bottom because of a reckless act. The one who decided to transport a glass plate weighing 3 tons by helicopter, and even in such weather, as if he did not even count on a successful outcome. At least he's interested, though. He walked all the way. He didn't stop. Here we go. There was little chance that the tree would fall on the car, but the one who controlled the process had an amazing eye. They are so happy, as if they have been looking for a reason to get rid of the car for a long time. We bet this pilot has never won a toy from a slot machine. What? It was an expensive lesson, but she'll definitely have better aim now. He will never let his mother drive his car again. I can't even imagine how she ended up in this situation. There's probably a reason why no one wants to help her turn the car over and get back behind the wheel. Everything seemed to be going well until this moment. Poor plane, it never made it to the scheduled training. Subtitles made by Dima Torzak. This was the most precious Django in his life. Subtitles made by Dima Torzak. You're charged $45,000 for forgetting to put the handbrake on your car. The guy was very careful when shipping the container, but didn't think about the balance at all. Oh my God! That's why driving a low-slung car is only worth it if you can see every Yankee on the road. The streamer received a computer for free and was very happy about it. Just a couple of minutes, which the system unit was still intact. They came up with a great plan to get the car out, but something went wrong. I wonder if they will call a second tractor? Surprisingly, the rope turned out to be stronger than the car, unlike the cable that these guys were given. Some streets are created exclusively for small, and most importantly, cheap cars. Nowadays, you should only keep cash if you are 100% sure that you will never have a flood. This is what losing hundreds of thousands of dollars instantly sounds like. And this is what she looks like. For those who wait too long for their order, there are minor problems with logistics. The drive to the northern region is incredible. Here he is again, Stephen Rader. In such a situation, any careless movement can only make things worse. Subtitles made by Dima Torzak. A driver in China decided that he could drive under a bridge without any problems because it had worked before. It's just that he hasn't transported large planes before. Thanks to a mistake, he learned that with such a load he had to take a different road. True, the lesson was, to put it mildly, a little expensive. Securing containers during transport is a great idea, especially during a storm. It's a pity that the crew of this ship doesn't think so. This is why they lost most of their cargo while traveling from China to the USA. Six cars, a truck, a trailer and 2 pallets of cargo were abandoned after a large transport vessel ran aground off the coast of St. Thomas. Fortunately, no one was hurt, except of course the wallet of the person responsible for this failure. Subtitles created by Dima Torzak. Do you want to know what happens if a train runs through a red traffic light? A Norwegian driver has the answer. Fortunately, there were no casualties. What could make a boat collision worse? The fact that one of them is carrying 800 tons of gasoline. Yes, and this little brother is actually much more expensive than he looks. If he wants to continue driving like this, then buying a good SUV will be much cheaper than testing the strength of a Bentley. Where are you going to put it? Is this right for me? I'm pretty sure it was the truck driver's last day on the job. Looks like someone was on their phone or decided to take a nap while steering the boat. And here's the result. The most strange and very expensive way to park a tow truck. A couple in China decided to save a little money and build a house themselves. Everything worked out, and they were even able to live in it for several days. But then the building began to tilt. It turns out there was a pond in the back, which is why the house just sank. An example of how saving on a team of specialists led to even greater expenses. Seriously? My God. Well, 1/3 of the load was successfully loaded, if that's the right word under the circumstances. The most expensive takeout order of French fries in history. When life gives you fashion, be careful not to screw them up. Buddy, you dropped something. He just wanted to let a pedestrian pass, but he braked too hard. Unfortunately, pretending that he had nothing to do with it is unlikely to work anymore. The driver of the pickup truck will definitely be more careful about choosing a parking spot from now on. We will never know what the captain was thinking, if he was thinking at all. If you're shocked, imagine the eyes of the owner of the house. I think it would be cheaper for him to quit than to pay for the damage. Oh, it's the boss. So the smoke knew the engine would fail the test. It turned out that in real life his blows were just as strong as in the game. Subtitles created by Dima Torzak. An apartment on the first floor is always cheaper, maybe because sometimes such things happen. She hardly thought that the flood would catch her at home. There will be fishing rods, they are in this trunk. There are not only yours, there are mine. There is a tent, everything is new there, everything is new. We have one cheerful fisherman walks with a hole. You can pay for a new guy. I hope the team that comes to fix the window does not break anything else. This VR set costs much more than what she paid for it in the store. The crane operator obviously wanted to have fun, nothing more. I hope there is a second bridge somewhere. Otherwise, many people will be stuck on the other side waiting for restoration.